First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. I really appreciate, truly, people coming out on a school night to come and recognize me. I have people from the high school, middle school, and the Optimists, and I really do truly appreciate everybody coming out for this event. I want to thank the Optimist Club, a group that I've been a member for 7 years. Sal Rotundo and Les Galaner got me involved in the club. I think it was, I went to an event with one of my students, we're getting honored, and I wouldn't say they strong-armed me, but they were just, why are you not a member of this club? And handed me a form, and the rest is history. They do a lot of great work. As educators, we made a choice to work with kids as our profession. The Optimists, many of them don't work with youth in their regular jobs, but they choose to take out of their free time to go and do things with the kids in the community. And that's one of the things that I love about the group. It's a wonderful group, and I made a lot of great friends. I want to make special recognition of Maureen Tone and Karen Geller for organizing this event. They spent a lot of time, and I really appreciate it. Especially when they had it set, and then the snow came, and they had to make a decision to cancel, and then they had to so they put a lot of work, and I really appreciate the time that they put in for this. They do it every year. It's a wonderful event. I want to recognize my family that's here. My parents, Joe and Antoinette. When we have events in the Optimist Club, Randy Charles, who's our treasurer, when we have kids that we're recognizing, we'll always mention the parents and thank the parents for the job that they did in providing the structure and values for our students that we're recognizing. Randy, I can truly say that my parents gave me the values, the structure, everything that I need to be the man, the husband, the educator, the son that I am today. And I can't thank them enough for the sacrifices that they made for my brother and I to get us to where we are today. When you get an award for something in your profession, it usually means you're going above and beyond the time frame of when your job is, which means that means a lot of nights out, maybe some Saturday mornings when you're out doing these things. It takes time away from your family. My wife, Gina, has always supported me in all of these endeavors, and I can't thank her enough for being such a great supporter of all of the outside things that I do, even though it might mean that I'm coming home at 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night or a Saturday morning, but she's always been there for me, and I want to thank her so much for that. I do have to say that she did know going into our relationship what she was getting into, because I think it was our third or fourth date that when we went, I think it was probably our third or fourth date that encompassed her coming with me to Neshaminy High School so I could scout a wrestling match. So she came to an hour drive up to Neshaminy to sit in it was our second date. So it was our second date that she went up to Neshaminy High School for Neshaminy Council Rock wrestling match, and I sat in the bleachers with a video camera taping, and she said, I do think we went and got dinner afterwards. But, she went with me. Her birthday, it may have been, no, I think it was Wendy's. That was a little bit of a step up. And I think we were talking, her birthday was this past weekend, and we were talking about past birthdays, and she said, how did we spend my first birthday? And I said, I think I was at Hershey coaching at state wrestling tournament here. So she knew what she was getting in ahead of time, but she's always supported me in all of those things. She's also what I call the teacher on my shoulder. She teaches at Methacton. She's a high school English teacher, and I'll come home and I'll talk about things going on at school or things that I want to do, and I'll always get you remember what it was like to be a teacher, right? Don't forget about that. So I want to, thank her, and probably some of the staff will probably want to thank her too, because she kind of pains me inside. My daughter Mary Kate is here. Hi, Mary Kate. I want to thank you. Every morning that I go, I leave with a smile on my face because I get my hug and kiss, and no matter how bad my day is when I come home, I always feel good because I know you're running to see me when I get to the door, you and your brother Andrew. So thank you, man. And my mother-in-law Mary, who's also here, is now added into the support system that I have. When I was told that I was getting this honor, I started to reflect on those who helped develop me as a student, as an educator, and where I am right now. Everybody here probably has a teacher that inspired them to do something or inspired them to get to where they are now. I had many. As many of you know, I'm an Upper Merion School District product. I went to Bridgeport Elementary School, I went to Upper Merion Middle School, I graduated from Upper Merion High School. I had so many people that inspired me to get me where I am today. I think about when I was at Bridgeport Elementary School, and I had Mary Molyneux as my second and third grade teacher, and Sal Rotundo was my principal, and they developed pride in us, for pride in who we were and where we came from, and that we could achieve. I went to the middle school and had teachers like Lowell McMullen, Ellen Brown, Louise Nichols, Dave Simmons, Bonnie Waltz, and Helen Beatty that really instilled the hard work ethic in order to achieve. I went to the high school, and my love of social studies and social sciences were developed with Mary Ann Schiller, Jim Fox, and Steve Kozel. And I think every one of them made mention that I should be a social studies teacher. But it wasn't just my social studies teachers that inspired me. I had Carol Gallus, who was my English teacher in 10th grade, that encouraged me to write and speak publicly because she said, you have a real talent for it. Millie McPhillips and Mary Ann Collett, my 10th grade geometry teacher and my senior year pre-calculus teacher, knew that I struggled in math. But they made sure I was going to succeed. At no point did they ever look at me and say, well, you're not getting this. It was, here's a pass, I'll see you during your study hall, or I'll see you at 2:25 because we're going to sit here for 15 minutes before you go out to practice, and you're going to get this. And I really appreciated and saw the difference that a teacher can make in a person's life. I really, though, can say that I would not be in education if it wasn't for my coaches. Steve Shine, Andy Toto, Don Jackson, and the late John Stone. Not only what they taught me on the sports field, but it was after I graduated. I went to Ursinus College, I majored in political science and business administration, no thought of becoming a teacher. It might have been in the back of the head, but it wasn't what I was going for. And then I was injured my sophomore year at Ursinus, and I couldn't play football anymore. I was close enough that I could drive. It was a 10-15 minute drive to Upper Merion. And I contacted Steve Shine and John Stone and asked, could I come back and be a voluntary coach? And it was there that I worked with Steve, Andy, Don, and John, and saw that I really loved working with young people. It was what I wanted to do. It was where I found my passion. So I graduated, and I went back to school to get my teaching certification. I do have to make special mention that Andy Toto and John Stone really took me under their wing and really guided me and pushed me to go be a teacher. So I was lucky that I was able to go back to Upper Merion and student teach, and Ed Helinski was my mentor. Ed taught me how to be a teacher, how to be a professional, how to be a coach, and just to be, an all-around great educator. Ed's my mentor. We were colleagues. I coached with Ed. I coached under Ed. And today I really cherish the friendship that I have with Ed and his family. Sue is also one of the teachers. I was lucky enough to come back to Upper Merion and be a teacher as a full-time position, not as a student teacher. I was at Council Rock for a year, and I got a call from John Stone and then Superintendent Terry Mancini that said, we have a position open. We want you to apply for it. Do you want to come back? It didn't take me very long to say absolutely. So I did my interview, and I put my resignation papers into Council Rock, and people told me, you're crazy. They were the highest paying school district in the country. What are you doing? And I said, I got to go back home. That's where I wanted to be. That's where I wanted to make a difference. So I came back and was able to give back to the school that gave me so much. I coached, I taught, I loved it. And then an administrative position opened up. And I was not looking to get into administration. I had my administrative certification. I was like, I'll maybe use that somewhere down the road. It's not anything that I necessarily want to do. But then the position at Upper Merion opened up, and some of my colleagues came to me and said, we really think you should go for the job. We really think that you can make a difference. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do it, and I jumped into administration looking to say, now maybe I can make a difference, not just within my classroom or in the sports field, but as a community and the school as a whole. And I can't say enough how lucky I was
to work with Jonathan Bauer, Carol Hoy, Joanne Fox, Tom Campbell, Earl Burnham, and Tom Meglis. We are a great administrative team. Then I transferred down and went to another great administrative team. Karen Geller, Adam Slavin, and Special Assistant Mandy Donahue, who really taught me how to work with little kids. It was quite a difference going from 17 and 18-year-olds to dealing with 5th and 6th graders. I never saw so much crying before. But I have to really thank them for, helping me and still helping me get used to working with the young kids. But it's another great administrative team. And the great thing about all the administrative teams I work for, all the decisions were made to be in the best interest of the students. So when I started to reflect back on all these people that I think of that had an impact on me, what do they all have in common? What is the common thread that had all these people have an impact on me and where I am today? I knew that all my teachers that I mentioned showed a true interest in me as a student and as an individual. I knew they cared about me and they cared about their students. They taught more than a subject to me. They taught me life lessons, hard work, dedication, perseverance. And they inspired me to be where I am today. And that's what we do as educators. We inspire our students. We make them do things that they didn't think they could do before. The shame of it is there's no test score or formula that the state can come up with to measure that. They can't measure the impact that we have on students' lives. They can't measure that with a test or a rubric or anything like that. We inspire our students, and we may not know it till years later. I just think back to some of the situations that I had where I had a student that called me and said that they were going into teaching and they wanted some advice from me because they loved my class so much. And what can they do to make it as interactive and fun? I had a former wrestler that sent me a letter after they got out of basic training to thank me for not only making sure that they were physically ready to go through the military, but mentally ready to be in the military. I was asked to write a letter of recommendation for a student that was going into law school, and it was because I was somebody that had a direct impact on them choosing to go there. And then it was a letter that it was a paper that I got from an English teacher a week before graduation from a student that I had suspended well over 25 times, I think, in the course of 4 years. They called me every single dirty name in the book over those 4 years. That wrote a final essay about what was their inspiration. And they said, I was their inspiration to graduate. Because no matter how bad they were, no matter what names they called them, no matter how many times I had to suspend them or have meetings, I always made sure that I told them that I knew what a good person they were on the inside, I knew how smart they were, and I knew that they could succeed. And it wasn't until that day that they said, you're the reason that I'm graduating today, and I'm not in alternative school, and I didn't drop out. Those are the types of impacts that we all have, and everyone in this room has those type of stories, I know. So I just want to thank the Optimist Club for this, and I'm accepting this award not for me, but for all the teachers who inspire me. Thank you.